All right, so this lecture is gonna get weird, but I can't not give this lecture because, and I have to acknowledge it's weird, but I have to give it because it's a part of the story. And now, in order to understand it, you're probably gonna have to grasp some like deep concepts, and it might have to alter your, especially if you look at the world through a rationalistic lens, it might have to alter that. So, my first memory, and I'm not making this up, and I knew this my whole life. My whole life, it was in the back of my head. I always thought about it. It's always there. And it informed how I acted throughout my life. For instance, I never drank alcohol because of this. And I intentionally would not have sex because of this. Didn't have sex until I was 23 years old. And I had many opportunities. When I was ask anybody who knew me. When I was in middle school, I had fan clubs of girls. It was about the swag flow. I'm not going to get into details. But it's part of the reason why I want videos when I'm younger so I can study what it was. But basically, I had fan clubs of girls. I had the girls from the older grades wanting to have sex with me. Dudes would be like, Ryan, the sixth grader wants to have sex with you. I'm in the fifth grade. The seventh grader wants to, dude, just have sex with her. But I never did it. Because why? Part of it was because I saw myself as the Messiah. And this is what happened. I'm not making this up. I don't know how a preschooler could have this experience, but I was walking through my preschool, and I was basically, so here's a question. There's a lot of explanations. Maybe because of a previous life, I knew what the Messiah was. Maybe I knew it from a previous life. Maybe somebody in the preschool, because I was going to a Hebrew preschool, mentioned the Messiah. But I don't think so. Maybe it was, but I don't know. But all I remember was I was walking through the preschool, and just something was telling me, but it was my own thoughts, but it wasn't my thoughts. Because my question is, how could a preschooler know this unless it was previous life? So it was my thoughts. Maybe I did come from previous life. And my grandpa would say, my grandpa believed in previous lives, but I don't know. But something was telling me, and it could have just been my own thoughts. But my question is, how did I know what the Messiah was? And it was very clear. Like what I was like, something told me like you're the Messiah. Like, and I knew it. I was walking through the preschool. I was like, I'm the Messiah. And and it also and this is the weird part, and I never told people about this, but it was telling me a part of the reason why I was a Messiah was because I had blonde hair and green eyes. And and somehow I understood that. Like, I'm in preschool and I'm a little kid, but I just understood. I was like, yep. And so the rest of my life, I always knew I was the Messiah. And it was a very, like, I feel like a lot of kids throughout life are like gullible and stupid and stuff. But like, I think from a very young age, I was like a step ahead of everybody. And that's the way I was my whole life. And then, oh, you weren't a step ahead of everybody, Ryan. You're probably just a narcissist. I was a fucking step ahead of everybody. Why did I always get straight A's? Why did I go to the best schools in the country, Sierra Canyon and Harvard Westlake, and get straight A's? And all the teachers loved me until high school when my dad started beating me up in 10th grade because of the shoot-away machine. So, yes, I was a step ahead of everybody. I was a step ahead in all the sports. I was an MVP, and people who coached me in soccer were like, dude, he could play professional soccer. People who coached me in baseball were like, this guy's I was the pitcher and the first baseman, and I was the MVP on the team. And in soccer too, I was the MVP. In every sport I did, I was a step ahead of everybody. So maybe my grandpa would say, because of previous life, I had a head start. So maybe it was a previous life was the reason why, like, I had the capacity to understand what the Messiah was as I'm at preschool walking around. And, but like, you see, that's my question. How would I know even the word Messiah? But it was just so clear. It's like something's telling me I'm the Messiah, and I knew it. This is when I was walking around my preschool. How could anybody know that? And my whole life, I acted upon it. So that was the reason why I never didn't ask anybody, did Ryan Merkel ever drink alcohol? No. And part of the reason why was because in my mind, I was always like, it went with like, but throughout my life, when I would do big things like, oh, I just won the AAU national championship, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is a part of the messianic, like, I'm the Messiah. Of course I won the AAU national championship. Oh, you're the starting point guard on varsity as a freshman, and you just won the CIF championship. I'm thinking in my mind, of course, I'm the Messiah. And I knew my whole life. It's like I had this knowledge, this awareness. It's like, so when I was getting into college, like, I knew this is all just a stage, and I'm just working my way up to being the Messiah. Because I knew it my whole life. So, So like, and that's why when I discovered the Quattro model, I wasn't surprised at all. And that's why I was just like, I knew I was going to do this, but I'll continue. So I'm in preschool. Something tells me I'm the Messiah. Could have just been my own thoughts, but how could a preschooler think that? So then, my whole life I'm thinking about that. And also something told me, don't tell people about it. So I wouldn't tell people. I didn't tell people about it. Like, I had intelligence that people didn't have. And anyone who doesn't believe me, ask all my teachers. They're always just like, whoa, Ryan's like, the teachers would, that's why I went to the best schools in the country, because teachers would drool over me. I was the best creative writer. I was the best in the art class. I was the best at everything. So, and I had fan clubs of girls. So I never drank alcohol. And I remember like, yeah, so like, okay, even in high school, I'm not gonna say my friend's name, but my friend played in the NBA. And like I said, I played on Masterpiece basketball team, P. Miller Ballers. We had the best players in the country on the team, like DeMar DeRozan plays in the NBA. And I'm not gonna say all the names, Brandon Jennings, but a bunch of other dudes played in the NBA, but I don't even remember their names. But I played with them in Las Vegas. I played on P. Diddy's basketball team, but I played on the best teams in the country, and I was always the best player. I was always a starting shooting guard, except for with Masterpiece team, because that was the time when my dad was shooting with me with a shooting machine, was messing up my shot. But when I was with one of my friends who was an NBA player. He ended up becoming an NBA player. And he probably had some serious mental issues, but I'm not gonna go into details about that. But he had this black girl, and he was getting head from the black girl, right? And he told this other black girl, he was like, hey, give my friend Ryan a blowjob. So the black girl was giving me a blowjob. But in my mind, I was thinking, this isn't when I was 16. Like I said, I had the girls wanting to have sex with me, the hottest girls in school. But a part of the reason why I didn't was I did visit my grandpa in Kauai. My grandpa would teach me medical psychiatry, and my grandpa would tell me, you know, there is no thing, everything's an illusion. And he told me how sex confirms the illusion of the separate body, that you are a separate self. So that's a part of the reason why I never had sex, even though I could. But my friend ended up playing the NBA, he had these two black girls. One of them's giving a blowjob. He tells the other black girl, give my friend Ryan a blowjob. So I'm sitting there, and but in my mind I'm thinking, I'm the Messiah. I can't have sex. I'm not joking. That's how I thought. This is probably like 17. I think it was my senior year of high school. Yeah, so I was probably like 17 or 18. I don't know. But yeah, so he tells her to give me a blowjob. So she starts giving me a blowjob. But in my mind, I was trying to think of other things, because I told myself, this is what I told myself. I said, if I ejaculate, that will count as sex. But if I don't, it won't count as sex. So I was thinking of other things the whole time when she gave me the blowjob. And she gave me a blowjob for hours. I'm not joking. And I never ejaculated, because the whole time I was thinking of other things. So people will be like, whoa, this dude must have like extreme concentration skills, or like, yeah, I freaking do. That's why I always get the best. That's why I always had straight A's. That's why teachers were amazed. So I was thinking about other things the whole time. And then, so we were driving, and it's weird, because when we were driving, I remember at one point the girl started to cry, which is weird. But then we went to and I think it was maybe because she could tell, like, maybe because my friend was telling her to give me a blowjob, and like she felt like she was being prostituted or something. I don't know what was going on. But then we went to the movies, and I sat in the back of the movies with the girl, and she gave me a blowjob, and we watched Horton Hears a Who. And she gave me a blowjob during the whole movie. And during the whole movie, the whole time I was thinking, don't think about the blowjob. Think about other stuff so you don't ejaculate. Because in my mind, I was like, I'm the Messiah. I can't ejaculate. Because if I ejaculate, that will be considered as sex. So I was thinking of other things. She probably gave me a blowjob for 4 hours, maybe more. Because then we ended up going back to their place, and my friend was having sex with the other black girl, and this black girl was giving me a blowjob. And the whole time I was thinking, and then, but this is a weird thing. I asked her at one point, do you want to have sex? Now people will say, oh, well, then that must mean that you did want to have sex, Ryan. No, don't you fucking get it? I didn't want to have sex. And I'm going to get to this for the next part. I didn't. I was just curious. I really was just curious. I just thought to myself, I wonder if she wants to have sex. But she probably sensed that I didn't want to have sex because she was like, no. And she just kept on giving me a blowjob because she probably sensed that I didn't want to have sex. And I was just really just asking her, do you want to have sex? But so she gave me a blowjob for another, like, I don't know. I probably had a blowjob for 5 hours. My friend was fucking this girl the whole day. I was getting a blowjob the whole day. But I never ejaculated the whole time because the whole time I was thinking about other things. But why? Because in my mind, so now you're not gonna understand my story unless you understand this aspect about me. I thought my whole life that I was the Messiah. Now, also people might say, oh, then you're really crazy. No, because actually, in order to be considered schizophrenic, you need to have a delusion and it has to be not culturally appropriate. But it's not culturally appropriate for a Jewish person to think that he might be the Messiah because any Jew could be the Messiah. But something told me that I was a Messiah, and I really do think I'm the Messiah. And according to the rabbis, the Messiah is going to prove that everything is controlled by Hashem. And they said it's going to be like Purim. And in Purim, they said that in the story of Esther, it seems like everything's chaos and there is no order. But there's 4 acronyms of the Tetragrammaton in the story of Esther. It's kind of like a meta example that I'm giving you right now because it's also proving the quadrant model. And I'm like, yeah. And that's what it seems like. It seems like everything's random. But if you look closely, you look at every system, you look at any area, you're going to see the quadrant pattern express itself because that's Hashem's fingerprint everywhere. So, so that happened. Then I remember I was hanging out with my friend who played in the NBA, and we were at school, and he wanted me to talk to this Asian girl. And I'm not attracted to Asian women. I've never been attracted to Asian women. Never. I've never once been attracted to Asian women. But again, like in my mind, I always just didn't want to have sex. And all these girls wanted to have sex with me. I had so many I remember I'd go to places and girls would be like drooling over me. And I didn't know why, but now I know it's because of swag flow. But I'm not going to ever explain that. But so I remember my friend wanted me to try to hit on this Chinese girl. My friend played in the NBA, and he has some mental issues a little bit. But so I sat next to her and I put my arm around her just to like make my friend laugh and make him happy, right? So my friend's laughing and stuff, and I'm sitting with her, but she liked me, right? But then this is the thing. So then I ended up taking her to Jamba Juice, and this was my senior year of high school. So, but also keep in mind, at this point I'd been being abused for years. I didn't have it all upstairs. And my parents, they told me that in order for me to live in the house, I had to take medicine. And again, that was bullshit. I never had to take medicine. What happened was, like I said, it was a shoot-away machine. Fucked up my shot. And my parents were abusing me. It's fucked up. Everything that happened, everybody fucked me up. But so then I was with this girl. And so I drove her to Jamba Juice. So keep in mind, my mind's already a little bit fucked up. At this point, I've been being abused for years. And like I said, I never had sex before. And I took her to a side road. And again, like what happened with the black girl, I didn't want to have sex. I did not want to. I'm not even joking because I saw myself as a Messiah. And I thought if I had sex, that the Messiah should not do that. And also my grandpa had been teaching me about how sex is self-confirmatory and there is no self. The body's an illusion and stuff like that, right? But I was just curious. I'm not even joking. I was just curious, and I wanted to see. I was just like, so I took her to the side, and I went like this, and I was like, but I didn't say, do you want it? But I was just like this, and she was like, no, Ryan, and I was like, okay, whatever, and I just took her back to school, and that was it. But then I was stupid because yes, I do fuck up sometimes, right? So I was with my friend who played in the NBA. I'm not gonna say his name, and then he was like, Ryan, what happened with you? And you know that I'm not gonna say her name, and the Asian girl, and I was like. I told him, oh, dude, because I didn't want to admit that that all I did was this, and again, like I didn't want to have sex with her, but I wanted to be cool for my friend, and so I was just like, yeah, and I didn't want him to tell anybody else, but I was just like, yeah, dude, yeah, I told her to suck my dick, whatever, and my friend was like, oh, dude, Ryan, man, oh, that's crazy, man, and then but then next thing I know, he's telling all my friends that I told this girl to suck my dick when I didn't even do that. I just said that to him, but again, he probably had mental issues too. So then everyone in this whole school is talking about, oh, Ryan told this girl to suck his dick. No, I did not. I didn't. You could ask the girl. I promise you, ask the girl. I did not do that. All I did was I went like this. Ask the girl, anybody who knows what I'm talking about, ask her, did I actually say that? No, I did not. I told my friend Ronaldo. Oh, shit. Okay, whatever. Now everybody knows who it is. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So I told my friend Ronaldo, dude, I said to him, hey man, yeah, I just told her to suck my dick. I didn't expect him to tell the whole school. So then he tells other people, and then next thing I know, the girl's mad at me, and she comes up to me, she starts punching me, and again, I've been being abused by everybody. So then, so that happened, okay? But again, I think if I really wanted to have sex, I could have probably with her. But the thing was, I didn't want to have sex, and she could sense that. And you know, if I was a real sociopath and I just wanted to fuck bitches, I could have had fucked the whole fucking school when I was in middle school. I could have fucked all these girls. I had every fucking girl. Ask anybody who knew me, dude. Ask anybody. Ronaldo, ask all these people. They would be like, Ryan, you know, the hottest girls in school think you're sexy. All these girls want you. But I didn't do nothing. Part of the reason was because my grandpa taught me that the body's an illusion. And, you know, he would talk to me about relationships are an illusion. The self is an illusion. And confirming the self. And also because I saw myself as a Messiah. And I thought to myself, I didn't want to have sex. Because I thought to myself, the Messiah should not have sex until he's married. So, and I thought that my whole life. And like I said, I didn't do anything religious. I went to Hebrew preschool. But something told me you are the Messiah when I was in preschool. Now, this is when the story gets weird. Now, everyone's going to start to thinking now at this point, oh, Ryan's weird. He's a weirdo. But you're not going to understand my story unless you understand my whole life I saw myself as a Messiah. So then, like I said, in high school, I'm being abused by my parents because, again, I'm in the backyard. My dad's, before I was the best shooter in the country because my dad would just pass to me. And when my dad just passed to me, I would move into shots naturally. I and I was the best. I would step back, like I said. I would step back with my right leg's behind my left, and I would step, and then I could step like this and shoot, and I'd be sideways. But it's all about how you move into shots. Like you moving back, and then you go like this, and it's all about how you move into it, right? And then you get sideways. But if you're picking the ball off a rack, I'm just going like this. So then in the games, I'm going like this. I'm picking the ball, I'm catching the ball, and I'm stepping straight forward like this, and I'm shooting with my left foot from my right. My dad starts to yell at me in the 10th grade, Ryan, you're shooting square. It's because I'm picking the ball off the rack and going like this, okay? Then he tells me to go like this. So then I'm in the games, I'm picking the ball off the rack and I'm going like this. No, that's why my shot got messed up. So, but then, and like I said, then it caused chaos in my family. My dad's beating me up. My mom's mad at me. They kicked me out of the house because I felt like I need my dad's help. So, okay. That's what's going on. And I remember, here's another example. I remember, I think it was probably my senior year. My dad's beating me up. I wanted my dad to help me fix my shot. I remember I was at my grandma's house. So it's weird. I don't know, my grandparents must not have been there. I was at my grandma's house, and my dad just was beating me up. He's beating me up really bad. And like I said, it was getting to the point where I thought I was going to be killed. I thought he was going to kill me. And and I remember I looked at him after he beat me up, and I was afraid for my life at that time. But I looked at him and I told him, I said, do you know who I am? And my dad, I remember he looked at me and he started to laugh. He was like, who are you? Because he was probably thinking like, yeah. Because he was probably thinking, what are you going to say? Like the Messiah or something? I don't know what he thought I was going to say, but I was like, do you know who I am? And my dad was like, who are you? But I didn't respond. But in my mind, I was thinking, I'm the Messiah, you motherfucker. And you're beating up the Messiah. That's what I was thinking in my mind. And I'm not even joking. That's the way that I saw things my whole life. So then, when I'm in college, I had opportunities to have sex. You could ask my fucking friend Brian Sue. There was this Asian girl. I'll go to that in the next story. How I was on top of her. She told me, fuck me. I didn't do it. Why? In my mind, I thought, I'm the Messiah. I can't do this. So, but I ended up discovering the quadrant model. I ended up discovering the theory of everything, which rabbis say the Messiah is going to do. So I'll continue with this. And I'll talk about what happened in college.